Welcome back, everybody, to Chatting with the Comic Community, episode 96. That's right, guys. We are almost at episode 100, where Bobby Delgado, my first guest, will be giving away a gigantic art book that he's been working on, from Lame and Frame, Between the Lines. All of that great artwork is inside that book. But right now, here, my guest today is somebody that's been in the comic community for quite a while. He's been every channel pretty much from the beginning. He's been collecting since the beginning. We're going to get into all of that. I know him because of The Hunt over on Tony Sanders' channel. Shout out to him. So we'll even talk about how he got to know some of the people that he knows in this comic community, how he got into The Hunt, and furthermore. So without further ado, let's bring out my next guest. Let's bring out Boston Chris. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining me on this hour to get to know you a little bit better.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So for the viewers at home that don't know a lot about you, give them a little rundown of who you are.
Well, my name is Boston Chris. So obviously I'm from Boston, if you couldn't tell from the way I talk, or from my name. I grew up in Boston, live out there. I've been collecting comics for a long time. I have to say, I think, God, from the time I was about 5 or so, maybe. Actually taking it seriously like later on after that, but just been kind of doing all that as far as like getting into different stuff. And of course, like in the beginning, it was mostly like cartoon books and stuff like that that I grew up with. But I've branched out into many other things, and I like to just kind of talk with different people in the community, get to know other people. I think that's one of the most fun parts of doing this as a whole, is getting to know and meet people from all over the world, really, that share a common interest in comics, and seeing what they like, what they're into, and kind of just showing off each other's collection, and really being in awe of what other people collect, by learning more from them about why it is they like the characters they like, or stories that hey, you know what, you like this character, have you ever read this story? No, I haven't. Like, oh, I have to check that out. So I think that's really the most fun part of it, is just getting to know all the people, seeing people's collections, and then gaining a better appreciation for what we like, what we do, and moving forward as a community.
That's awesome, man. So you mentioned at the beginning that you got into comic collecting at the age of 5. It was mostly cartoon books, and that. What was your foray into superhero books, or like what kind of cartoon books were they that you started collecting, and how was that journey going forward?
So the first books that I remember getting were Transformers and G.I. Joe. Like my parents used to get them for me just randomly. Like if it was like a holiday, so like on Easter, it would be like a G.I. Joe comic book with some toys and stuff in my Easter basket, or like for Christmas, I would get one of my birthday, whatever. And then my father randomly would just bring random stuff home sometimes. So he'd be out, and he'd go he used to work at night. So he would go out, and then maybe if he's like just hopping into a store for whatever, he would see a comic book on a rack and be like, here you go, and then have a random comic. My aunt Susan actually is the one that got me into books, into hero books. The first book that I remember getting that was a hero book, and I remember just because of the year was 87. That's what was on the thing. Like I was born in 82, so that was a Batman book, and it was 3 of them that we got. So I got the Jason Todd, when he it's like the introduction of him. So like the first cover I remember, it's him stealing the bat, the what's it called, the ties off the Batmobile. And then after that, it's like then there was the one where he's getting jumped by a bunch of people, and it was like some school for like wayward boys or something like that. It was like he's in that one, and then there was a Teen Titans issue that really confused the shit out of me because it wasn't Teen Titans, sorry. It was like a Teen Titans spotlight for Nightwing, and it confused me all the way because I was like, is that the same guy that's in this book? Like, I don't understand. His face looks different. And so, but that was my first foray into actual, into hero comics with Batman books. And then that kind of spun into, going into Marvel, really, just because of the fact that, I got the Secret Wars toys as a kid. So I had characters from both. Like I had, as a kid, I had the Super Friends stuff. And man, that collection was great. I remember that. I remember having that as a kid. Just remember having it. That was like, I think, the first series of anything that I had, like pretty much everybody. Like I had, all of them. I had the little carrying case. I ended up getting the Hall of Justice. I got the mail away Clark Kent. I had that as a toy, and I had all those ones. And then I remember getting the Secret Wars on the other side. So like that's how I got introduced to, like Wolverine and Magneto, Doctor Doom, Doc Ock, and all them. Like they just got them through toys. So eventually started reading those comics as I got older. But but yeah, Batman was my first hero book that I went into, and then I want to say I started buying my own books with like birthday money around like I would say 9 or so, because I got gifted another couple comics. I used to go to an after school program, and they one of the counselors was a big comic fan, and across the street from that place, like there was just a comic shop. So she used to be able to go over there and be like, I just want to bring some books to the kids, and they'd be like, all right, here you go, and they give her a box of them, and then she'd give them out to us, and we get to read them. So eventually, I was like, oh, I want to go to that shop, and I want to spend my own money there. So that's where I started picking stuff up, and here we are.
Do you remember what was on your pull list when you were picking up those books? Like
yeah. Because X-Men #2. So the 91 X-Men #2 was the first book, first X-Men book I ever had. I read that until the cover fell off, and then I just was so just eccentric as far as that, like X-Men was concerned. It was all X-Men all the time, and I thought for the longest time, I thought everything that was X-Men or had an X to do with it was drawn by Jim Lee. So you bought X-Men, yeah, and it's drawn by Jim Lee. Like, no, it isn't. Look in the front, it's somebody else's name. I was like, it's Jim Lee that did it. So I thought Jim Lee drew everything as far as the X-Men were concerned, but I used to buy all the X-Men stuff I could when I was, I say, between the ages like 9 and like maybe like 12, 13. That went through high school. Like I kept going and getting X-Men books all the way out through. But I really liked like to have that introduction to an artist like Jim Lee, where it's like drawn so well. It was hard to sit there and be like, oh, let me pick up these other books for other titles, because it was like there was no way. And I think so. I'll say this much: the very first hero I ever liked. Didn't have any comic books of him, but the first hero I ever liked was Spider-Man. I was given stuff like little storybooks and stuff for Superman, and I thought Superman was cool. But Spider-Man was my guy when I was very little. When I was like 3 or 4, like I loved Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man was the best. I used to watch the live action TV show they had, way back in the day, and but for me, just with nothing else being, as visually appealing, I was all about the X-Men for like the longest time. And then when Jim Lee kind of went off of that book, I was devastated. I was like, what? So he doesn't draw this anymore? I mean, it still looked good because you had, I think it was at that time, Andy Kubert still drawing it. So it looked great, but it was like, you mean it's not Jim Lee? Because he was great at mimicking Jim Lee's style. So, but I had a good time with that.
It's interesting. You started off with like Batman, but then you're like, I'm gonna take a trip over to Marvel's side, and that seems to be what you've been collecting ever since you were young. And that was there ever a time where, because most people either going to college or meet a significant another, get in a relationship, and that has there been a time where you broke off from collecting comics?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like when I was in college, I mean, you just don't have any money, so it's just like, I mean, there wasn't much you could do. Like I knew stuff, but there was a bunch of stuff that I just didn't pick up. And it's just like, going back to that point, it's just like, like that's where I ended up missing out on like NYX and all that type of stuff. Like I just wasn't collecting comics during that point in time. So X-23 and that, I hear people say stuff about it, but it's like, I don't have any money for it. I wish I did. I wish I was, because it's like, oh, like instead of it, being a super expensive book now, I could have had it then for cheap, but who knows what condition it would be in. But yeah, I mean, and there's all that stuff. I want to say, I kind of was on and off for a while, and then when I would say so, like early 2000s, I was kind of consistent until about 2003, and then I kind of just fell off, and then kind of in and out, picking stuff up, all throughout different times, and then throughout that, and then I want to say around like 2008 or so, I was back to picking things up here and there, and I think the reason why that I was kind of trying to stick with things consistently was I don't know if it was specifically that point or not that the what was it, the Green Lantern, like darkest, was it darkest night or whatever?
Yeah, Blackest Night, Brightest Day.
Blackest Night, yeah, that's one. Blackest Night. I was collecting that, and I remember so that's when I was going on to school in Arizona, and so I was like out there, and I started reading it back home, and I was like, I want to pick up some of these, so I ended up buying some of that stuff when I could, and then just kind of fell off for another couple of years, and then around, like, actually it's funny. So around the time I started dating my wife, it was in 2013. I was like, just kind of went in the shop. I was like, I want to start picking these things up again. So I started doing that, and that actually kind of ended up being right around the time I discovered, YouTube and the comic community on there, just because really, funny enough for me. So how I got to being here and doing this and having a channel and everything, came down to I had this really arrogant thought one day that I could go ahead and say, hey, you know what? If I can grade comics, because I didn't have any graded comics, but I was like, if I can grade comics, I could open a business. I could grade my own books. This would be great. I could sit there and just grade stuff, and I could be the guy that does it right up here. And I didn't even, I had no idea how what grading was all about. What what I mean? Like I'd seen it in the Wizard magazines. I'm like, oh, I could do that. I could grade stuff for people. And then, good thing I didn't do that, just because, like, I was so unprepared for what would happen. But I was looking for for videos about grading comic books. Like, how do you grade comic books? And that kind of led me down this rabbit hole. And I ended up finding a channel called We Love Comics. And from there, like, he had one video about grading books, but then I kept watching different stuff that he had done. And I was like, I'm just listening, picking up books and hauls and all the rest of this type of stuff. That was kind of fun. So I would watch his stuff. And then eventually, like, he decided that he was going to start doing like a live show. So I was just a guest on that live show. And I used to kind of just pop in and I just had my name initially.
Yep, so I stop you, but like, what year was this?
Probably like 2013 ish or something like that, around the time, 2013 or so. Just because I had my channel before that. Like, my channel was made because for college you had to have a YouTube channel for like this internship class. So I just and my original channel name was Buckshot 33, just because I had put a name for something that I knew. Like I like rap, hip hop and rap, and so I was listening to a lot of Boot Camp Click at the time. And one of the dudes that's in the Boot Camp Click, his name is Buckshot. So I was like, all right, and I liked a lot of his his stuff, Black Moon and all the rest of that type of stuff. I mean, I'm a Wu-Tang fan. I love Wu-Tang, but like just like all that like kind of music at that time was just fun. So I was like, all right, that was it, Buckshot, and then 33 for Larry Bird. And that, so I was just putting a screen name. I wasn't really knowing, oh, it's going to be a channel. So then when I finally got on, that's like, if you ever got to see those videos, I don't think he has those up anymore because those are a long time ago. But that was my name, Buckshot 33. Oh, it's Buckshot, like Splash knows. If you ask Splash Page Comics, like he's like, oh, he call me Boston or Chris now, but like for a long time I was Buckshot. I was always Buckshot to everybody. And then so eventually he was like, oh, you should make a channel. So I was Buckshot 33 for a while. And then I was like, and people were like, well, that's not really a comic name. Like, what do you want to, you should change it. And I was like, all right, well, a guy named Leroy gave me the name Boston Chris when I lived out in Arizona. And he just said, oh, you're Boston Chris. I was like, okay. He's like, it's kind of like a, he's like, it's just one of those things that you're from Boston. Your name's Chris. You're Boston Chris. I was like, okay. So, and I was like, oh, Boston Chris Comics, and then that's where my name kind of came from. Nothing special, nothing crazy. And I think that now that we're discussing names, we should also talk about yours because, ladies and gentlemen, TM Nerdy, that's his name. And I understand that that's his name, but it's simply like, oh, his name's Travis. No, that's a code name. We're gonna put that to bed right now. His actual real name, right? What does the TM stand for? Is it the monster? Is it too much? Is it no? His name is very simple. The is his first name, and then the M. What does the M stand for? Middle name, and then his last name is Nerdy. So you don't say, like Homer is not. Oh, you go to watch The Simpsons. It's not Bartholomew, and then tell you what his middle name is. It's Bartholomew J. Simpson. His name is just the M Nerdy. That's his name. So don't let him fool you. That's Travis. That's a code name.
It is. It is. I'll admit it right here, right now. Travis is a code name, and Boston Chris is 100% correct. It is a code name.
No, but
so when you started your channel in that, because it was We Like Comics.
We Love Comics. Yeah, that was
comics.
Yep, and it's funny because like on his channel, like he like he welcomed a lot of us. So that's where I met a bunch of people in the community. So he would just have a bunch of different people come on, and he used to do these streams that would go on for like hours and hours and hours. So like he'd do a stream and it started at like 7 o'clock at night, and that show would be going to like 2 in the morning. Like he used to just talk to anybody and have it. So, and he would have a full room. He'd have, this is back on Google Hangouts. So before there was any StreamYard, it was Google Hangouts. And he could have, I think at that time, either 10 or 12 people in there, like just straight. There was no like, real like limit. And so it got to be, just people from all over. So that's where, I met Hudat there. I met Splash from there. I met Kyle Walker in there. And I mean, so many others. You're going back to like the New York Warriors. I met all those guys in there. I met a bunch of people that they're not on anymore, but there's a bunch of guys that used to be on all the time. Again, Undisputed Frost, he used to be he used to come through there sometimes. Merc with a Mouth, Archangel Comics, Gamma Comics, got Gene Paul's Peter. Jesus, I'm trying to think of all the different names of all the people that used to just be on that like all the time. Our buddy Evan was on there and everything, and he hasn't come on in a while, but it's just like, it's just like so many different people, and you branch off from that to like meeting, just all these different other groups that were out there, because there was We Love Comics, and then there was what was it? God, what was it? It was We Love Comics, and then Comic Book Fanatics. Those were the two big groups that when I first came in that I remembered, and so from there it was like there was so many other people that you kind of came from. So it's just like through the Comic Book Fanatics and those guys, I ended up meeting TiVo and from Lois the Long Box and everything like that. And then it was just like just opened up like this giant world of everybody that collected comics. And it was just like so many different people, so much more to kind of just see other than that little corner that we were hanging out in. And then it was just like, after that, like everything just kind of blew up. And, I've been lucky enough to meet some amazing people through all corners of the community. I want to say, just so many people when they first came through, they would hang out with us in the off-air thing that we had before anybody. Like Alex the Comic Quarter was hanging out with us first. Thoro came through and hung out with us in the very beginning. Beulah used to come through. Like we had so many people. What was his name? Disco. Oh my God, I know his name's Jose. I'm trying to think of his name. Because it's just right off the top of my head. Oh, Discovery Bay, Discovery Bay Comics. Like he used to come and hang out with us. And like there's so many people just came up with it, and it was fun just because those off-airs that they used to have was a ton of fun, because you just kind of meeting all these different people, watching them all blow, just kind of blow up and get bigger and everything, and just great time and really helped expand people's knowledge of comics, like I said, just because there were people whose collections were just unbelievable. and it was just like, oh, you should check these out. You like this type of story, you should definitely check out this. Or like people that were just into just straight indie books, like that's all they collected. And then there are people that were just like, no, I just only do keys, nothing but keys. And then it was just like, and it was one of those things where like there was so many people that had so many different perspectives on things that they would help you. It's like, oh, like I really want this book. Like I want, oh, I know somebody has it, or I have that. I can, I can help you out. I can hook you up with this. So, it was fun. It was a lot of fun being in and doing like that. But it's still fun now. There's still a lot of great channels out there. There's a lot of stuff to watch. A lot of different things that people do. It's just there's it's just kind of one of those things where it's like coming in now. It's a little different, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's different because the landscape's a little different, but it's very much the same. It's just all in about, just kind of finding a group of people that you like to talk to, and then kind of, just branching out from there. And you'll meet plenty of people. I know a lot of people might worry about subscribers and all the rest of that. Like if you're trying to do it to get a big channel, my channel has been around for a long time, and it's not big by any means. I think I have still under 500 subscribers, which is fine. I just kind of do it for fun, and I just but I will say you'll meet a lot of people. So if you're not worried about subscribers and just meeting a lot of people, you'll meet plenty of people. There's so many people out there that are just friendly and want to meet new people and want to discuss their collections with them. So all I can say is that for the most part, for everything that I see, the community is very open and welcoming. There's a couple of been bumps in the road here and there, but mostly it's just misunderstandings. So for the most part, like once people get past that, like there's plenty of good people to hang out with. So I would say to anybody who's on the fence or just wants to come in, please, you're more than welcome. Come talk to us. Show us your collection. Let's see what we let us know what you're looking for. We can show you our stuff. Let's see what's going on, and just let's keep it going, keep growing it, because that's what really makes us special, is the fact that there's so many people out there that share that same common interest, and it's fun to be able to talk to and get to meet and just hang out with all these different people.
It very much so is. That's why I got into making videos, and now besides chatting with the comic community and a few videos I dropped for Alan's top 10, I don't do a lot of videos anymore, but I'm on I'm on a lot of hangout streams and stuff because I just like hanging out with the people that I've gotten to know through this comic community. I hang out with you pretty much every Sunday. I hang out with Biggie pretty much every day. Then we hang out on Discord and stuff. So it's just you hit the nail on the coffin there. It's mostly this comic community is just fun because of the fact that we get to hang out with all of these like-minded individuals, and I absolutely love it. I love that answer.
Yeah.
So I do want to talk about, because like you said, and it's been a long time. You say 2003 or 13 to 2025. That's 12 years. Yeah. Going on 13 years very, very soon. And that, but you got together with a group, and Who Dat is part of it. And you guys get together every second Saturday. And if you guys have been doing this for quite a while, and that's Tony Sanders, The Hunt. How did you get connected with him, and how did you start doing that show? Because you're like a mainstay on that show, and you bring a lot of energy and a lot of creativity to that show. So I do want to hear how you got into that show.
So that was more of a thing where I would hear about it through other people like Splash and Who Dat and others would talk about it. Like, oh, I'm going to watch The Hunt later on and this and that. And I had no idea what they were talking about. I just thought it was just another show. And, just another, you pick up books type show. And then, they started explaining no, it's like a wrestling show. Like I play a character. So Splash would always watch it. And I was like, so then one day I was just like, all right, let me see what this is all about. Cause I had heard enough about it. I was like, all right, let's see what this is. And I saw it and I was like, wow, this is fun. And I want to say, I think it was my first time actually watching it. I was just sitting there, I was watching them. And I mean, really, really watching it, not just hearing about it and kind of actually watching it live and seeing the intros and the characters that people were doing and the back and forth and the voting and everything like that. So I was like, oh, this is cool. And so in the chat, I was like, you know what? I was like, I want in on this. I'm hopping the guide rail. I was like, I challenge anybody. I don't care who it is. And normally when you're in a live chat like that, you'll get acknowledged and this and that. But like most of the time, and I didn't know what type of show, like whether it was inclusive or whether it was like, no, this is a set roster, like we'll invite you, like you don't tell us type thing. So I didn't know if it was one of those things where they know, like we're set and we don't have anybody. So I just typed it just to type it. And turns out that Tony's like, yeah, like we love having new people on. So yeah, like you talk to me, we'll get this going. I was like, really? Okay, cool. And so from there it was just like, what character do you want to be? And I was just like, and at first I said the Hitman just because he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and he's like, Alex Comic-Con was already the Hitman. He's like, but he's like, there's a bunch of people that you could be. And then I was like, okay. And I was just like, has anyone been Jake the Snake? He's like, no. I was like, all right, I'll be Jake the Snake. So that's how I started out on there. I was Jake the Snake and Boston Chris the Snake. And from there it's just kind of been one of those things where, I've been on it ever since. So I want to say that was it? I think like around either 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a while since I've been on there. And it was kind of coming, I want to say it was coming out of COVID. So it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, like I, just never, and I think, that's where they were really going strong was during COVID. Like people really liked watching that because they could, just see people doing it and everything like that, and just having some fun and on there. And like I didn't really know what to expect when I went on there, and just had a good time, and I've had a blast ever since. So I really enjoy that. I enjoy being part of it. I've met some really, really good friends from there. Tony, Jeffrey, Dustin, Biggie, Bleak, Callie, just, so many good people are on that show, and have been on that show all the way through. I met you through that. I didn't know you before that. I'd heard people's names, but I never actually met them. I never met Callie before that. I've heard his name, never met him until being on the show. Didn't know. I had no idea who Dustin even was. You know what I mean? I knew who Biggie Shaq was because I had seen him before. Of course, I knew who that, and I had heard Tony's name a million times. So I was like, all right. I had no idea who Jeffrey was, and I was like, oh, Jeffrey, like he's one of these guys that's cool like that. Comic Head 84, I had seen through some other things, through like groups up here because they were trying to organize kind of a chat group, and he had that Power Hour thing that he used to do. I think. Like I forget what the specific name was, but he had a little show he was doing up here, because he's originally from Massachusetts as well. But it was like a bunch of people who I just didn't really know, and now I've met them all, and they're really cool people, just fun people to be around. And I, I'm grateful for that because I think that was, one of those things where it's like it helped kind of, I guess, bring another element to comics that it wasn't just, all right, here's my haul, here's my books I got, and the same books that everybody else picked up this week. If you bought new books, yeah, here it is. It's just like, it was just like, oh, like, no, we're going to have a competition with this. We're going to have some fun. And, and just the amount of people I've met from that show is just, incredible. So I enjoy being on the hunt. Like, I'm glad they let me be on there, and I will continue to be on that show as long as it's running, I guess. Cause I really do have a good time on that show.
How many characters do you play? So now, because you play multiple different characters. Jake the Snake is your first one, but what other ones do you play?
So I was Jake first, then I was Cactus Jack for a while. Then I was also kind of a makeshift, like kind of thrown in. I was in the Dudleys when they had the little Dudley group. I was in there. I was their version. So there's one of the family members of the Dudleys is called Big Dick Dudley, so I was Big Dick Boston. I was my current character that I'm mostly is Seth Freakin' Boston, so Seth Rollins thing, Seth Freakin' Boston, and then I am also half Black Machismo, so Jay Lethal Macho Man character. So and I enjoy doing all that. I have a lot of fun with it. But I have to say, like, the amount of creativity that goes into that show is really, really, like, just over the top, like, and amazing. And just like, like what I've seen other people do on there. Like I have fun. I do my thing and put on my glasses and talk and do my promo, whatever. But like, there's some people that really go out, like Dan. Um, you know, he goes on that Dan Delatorre, like he when he was the ancient one, so he had this whole wizard get up that he put on and everything like that. And like Dustin with Unkind and stuff that he's done, Callie, with all the different stuff that he has as far as the mask and everything else. Like so many people have done so many creative things on that show, and I would encourage anybody to go on and watch it. And then if you ever want to compete, like absolutely like talk to anybody that's on the show and Tony and everything, and they'll get you in there. It's a fun time. It really is.
It's fun in that. Bobby Delgado is on that show now and stuff. We mentioned him earlier.
Yep.
So we talked about comics. We talked about people you got to know in this comic community. Now let's kind of mix that together and talk about comic conventions, because you, like, besides Rad, you're one of the only people I know that can instantly tell like an artist's work. And that's because you know a lot of artists. You've been to a lot of conventions. You talk about a lot of conventions that you've gone to. So I kind of want to know, like, what was your first convention and how is that feeling and who did you meet?
So the first convention I ever went to was a show that I guess it was not, I don't know if it was necessarily the Boston Comic Con, called Boston Comic Con. It used to be at a Radisson Hotel in downtown Boston, and it was a great show. When I went, like, the very first time, I didn't get anything. I didn't meet any comic creators at all. Really, I just was in there just buying books, just because I had never been to a comic convention. I just kind of had seen it, and just wanted to go to one. And then after that, it had grown into being Boston Comic Con. And I used to go to that every year. And, it was just great. I was able to meet a lot of people there. I met Jim Lee, Ryan Otley, Todd McFarlane. I didn't get anything signed by Rob Liefeld, but I talked to Rob Liefeld for a good 30 minutes. And, like, as much as people are like, oh, like, he's such a dick online, he's actually a really nice guy. Like, if you talk to him, he's not a bad guy at all. Like, I mean, I guess if you go up to him and be like, hey, like, how come you can't draw feet? Yeah, you're probably gonna get a bad reaction. But if you just talk to him, like, hey, man, like, this is cool stuff. I met let's see, I met Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti there. I think my favorite interaction I've ever had with anybody, any comic creator, was George Perez. George Perez was amazing. Like, I was very excited to meet him. That was just a fun time, and he was just an amazingly nice person. And really, he was just I would say, when it comes to the fans, he was as excited to meet you as you were to meet him. Like, he was just really appreciative that you liked his work, and he gave everybody time. So it was never like anybody was like, all right, you got to move on and go over here. Like, no, he would let you talk to him. He would, if you brought a bunch of books, he would sign them all. He was really nice. Actually, another guy who was very nice and wasn't one to, like, push you to the side was Neil Adams. Neil Adams is actually really nice too. And I never got anything signed by him, but like, I just at a show. But I mean, he would just talk to me and have no problem. He was just perfectly fine guy. And like, his wife was kind of like, are you gonna buy anything? I'm like, oh no, I just was just talking to Neil about, like, art and everything, and just watching him draw and everything like that. And it was just a great time over there. And just I would say, like, my eye for people as far as artists are concerned is just kind of come with collecting and kind of knowing who it is, like getting to see different people and recognizing their styles. Like, oh, looks like this one, that looks like that one. And I mean, I don't have 100% accuracy on that. Like I can say, oh, this looks close to that. Okay. And then sometimes I'm surprised, by it. Like, oh, wow, that's not that guy, but it's someone who mimics their style. Or this one, oh yeah, no, it's him or it's her. You know what I mean? So, but it just kind of came with collecting for a while, and just kind of, I guess, anytime you have, you're into something like this, like, you'll eventually start to get artists that you know just really gravitate towards. So it's just like, you know, like I'm sure for you, because you're an Animal Man guy. So I mean, if you see a Brian Boland cover, like you're probably like, oh well, you know, because Animal Man, oh Brian Boland, like, and for me, you know, I like a lot of his work too. So it's just like, you know, but you can tell him right away just because of how he draws, and you know, just like you know, there's people who are, you know, I mean, big Jack Kirby fans, and it's just like, well, you can tell Kirby from a mile away. Like there's no, you know, questioning a Jack Kirby, you know, piece of art. And same as that, like Jim Lee's really distinct. Like there's a lot of guys that are very distinct in what they do, and so it's easy to kind of pick up their stuff. Even Amanda Connor, she's like, you could tell an Amanda Connor, you know, piece like from a mile away, just because she's
And J.
you know,
Scott Campbell, you can tell.
yeah, Jay Scott, you know, Mike Zeck,
Alex
like
Ross.
yeah, oh yeah, well yeah, Alex Ross, you know, he's does a lot of paint and stuff, so it's just like, you know, you can tell Adam Hughes, actually, you know what'll get, you know what'll throw you for a loop is Adam Hughes and Terry Dodson. You have to really look at those sometimes, because sometimes like, oh, like, this is Adam Hughes, no, it's a Terry Dodson, because they're like they're both very similar in the way that they draw things. But I mean, it just kind of comes with the territory. Like you kind of get to know things as you're reading. Like, all right, cool. And then of course, going to conventions, you'll learn people's stuff because you're like, oh, I have this book. Oh, I can get this signed by this one. And then you know, the more stuff you find out that you have with this person, you think, oh, now I know their work as soon as I see it. So, you know, it's not, you know, sometimes it's their reputation precedes them. Sometimes it's just, you know, having stuff there and knowing it. Like, you know, I mean, if you put a bunch of Archie books in front of me, it gets kind of tough because it's like, all right, well, when did this come out? Because it's Dan DeCarlos, is it Jeff Schultz? Is this, you know, I mean, there's a bunch of people that worked on Archie, so it's like, you know, you got it's tough to know like who did what, but you know, it's just, you know, I guess that's kind of just stuff that you store in your brain. And be like, all right, here we go, get this, and I think some people are able to really like you know, nail down certain periods and make all like these are the big artists in this period. Like I know them all. I can tell by like the way they are. So you know, some people are really good with Silver Age or Golden Age. Like a lot of the Golden Age collectors, like they know stuff right away. Like, oh, I know that's a Schomburg. I know that's this, and I'm just like, I haven't seen much of that because I don't really collect it. So it's just like, but they know instantly. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll go down the golden path, but I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, neither have I. I don't even own a Golden Age comic yet. I will say yet, because I do plan to own one eventually. Now,
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. You didn't mention what year that Boston Comic Con was.
Oh, so those were, so I want to say the first one I remember going to was, I want to say, so 2001 was the very first show I think I went to. 2001 or 2002, somewhere in there. And then it was like, you know, when it became Boston Comic Con that I was aware of was, I want to say 2000, was it 2010 or 11, somewhere in there, that I remember. So it was a while. And it was just like, you know, and it was just getting, you know, basically just trying to pick up different signatures and picking up books and you know, at that time too, like my path as far as collecting has changed too, like because it's like, and I think this is kind of an evolution that everybody kind of goes through. Maybe not. Some people might just be brave from the get go, but I know for me, like when it came to buying bigger books, like expensive books or more expensive books, I should say, that wasn't me for a while. Like, there was times where I'd be, you know, like there was a point when I remember being like, can't spend $300 on a book. It's too much for me. I can't do it. And I've done it since then. Of course I've done it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, so during those years where things were a little cheaper and I probably could have gotten some bigger books for much cheaper at the time, I just was, I guess, intimidated by being like, yeah, I want to buy that book for $100. It's like, no, I'm going to go over here and buy these books for like $5, $10 because that's where I feel comfortable. So, you know, it's funny how everybody evolves and kind of, you know, I guess graduates to that next level and everything like that. But yeah, that was, you know, back in the day, I was just kind of, you know, just having fun, just enjoying being at the show too. It wasn't like, you know, oh, like these guys have to be there or else it sucks. Like, no, like, it was just like, I'm just here to, you know, do my thing. And that's why I would say, like, even though like I like going to bigger shows, if you have a good local show that's a smaller show, but it's you know, really rich for books and stuff like that, like you just have a lot of good books you can pick up and good deals to be made, like those shows are amazing. I love those. You know, I would say, you know, it's a good to have those mixes because to only have big conventions, I mean, it's good, but you do want to have those local shows that are good, like those smaller shows, just because I feel like that also kind of keeps things, fresh way in your area. Because if it's like, I guess having, I don't know, like I don't want to say wrestling, but I guess if you had like a local wrestling or something like that, and it's like you could have WWE come to your town, and it's like, all right, cool, WWE's here, but it's like the next time they're coming back, I mean, it could be a year before they come back or something like that. But you get this little small promotion that does stuff, every month. All right, cool, I'll go and see that. So I mean, it's the same thing with like comic shows. It's good to have like, if you have a small show in your area or somewhere nearby that you can go to and like, oh, you know what, let me pop in and maybe they have a couple of artists I like, maybe they don't, or I could just buy a couple of books and kind of go out and just, supporting, keeping that scene growing, locally in your area, so you don't have to wait for that once a year big show.
Yeah, and it really helps like get introduced to new artists too that are kind of just either starting out or just not as big as other ones that are like, oh, Adam Hughes, Alex Ross type of people, and so maybe some indie comics that you never heard of, and you might end up loving reading it. Now, I want to know, like, kind of deviating from local comic shops. You mentioned you went to a few big comic cons and that. I kind of want to know, what was your favorite one that you've ever gone to, and why?
My favorite. Wow. Okay. So my favorite convention I've ever gone to, or my favorite show that I would go to, is Terrificon. Like I think Terrificon is, for me, it's my favorite show. It's in Connecticut, so it's a little bit, I would say it's not far enough to be considered a destination, really, that I would say, like, it's not like a travel con type thing. I mean, I guess like travel, but I would say it's far enough out that is, I don't necessarily consider it to be local, but it's a big show. As much as anybody would say, like, oh, like this is a good one. For me, I say it's the best show in the Northeast. Now, I know that people are like, oh, you've never been to New York Comic Con. You're right, I've never been. But I know New York Comic Con is enormous. Like, this is big enough where you have a lot of artists. The guy who runs it, Mitch Halleck, he puts together a really good show, gets a good mix of artists, vendors, and even celebrities to come down and give people a great experience. So I would recommend Terrificon to anybody. I've been to Heroes. I went to Heroes this year. Heroes is another really amazing show. So many books, a ton of artists. It's a great time. I would say it's kind of overwhelming as far as like the amount of stuff that's just there all the time. It's tough to be like get your bearings, because it's like, oh wow, like there's so much stuff. But I will say, as far as the way it's run, it's amazing. Like, it's not crowded at all. Like, and there's a lot of people there, but they have the aisle space out so well that you don't end up having that whole like big bunch up in one spot. You can freely move. So I mean, I would recommend Heroes to anybody too. And then on top of that, it seems to be that Heroes is really one that a lot of people gravitate towards. So if you want to meet community members, Heroes is the place to go, because you will meet just about everybody that is in that. I would say, as far as the East Coast is concerned, I mean, there's people from all over. Like you got people from New York there, you got people from the South there, you got people from all over. So I met a lot of people that I've talked to only online, and gotten to meet them in person, which was great. Terrificon is very similar. Terrificon, you will meet a lot of people if you go there. Like you'll I mean, you have people from all over New England, New York, some people from Canada, just I mean, all over, everywhere. They come, and it is a great show, and it's like one of those things where you're in a casino, like so you have a casino attached to the actual convention, and then you have also restaurants, you have bars, you have your hotel. So if you stay there, you have all that under one roof. Like so, it's just like there's tons to do. And I think that those are just really great shows. I have gone to Fan Expo, and now it's Fan Expo Boston. It was Boston Comic Con, and it was a great show. Fan Expo Boston seems like it gets kind of lost in the mix, although they are trying to compete with Terrificon now. So they stepped it up big this year. But you know, if you're gonna put me to a decision though, it's like you're going to Terrificon or Boston. I'm going to Terrificon, hands down. I mean, I have no problem admitting that just because you know, the hotel is gorgeous, the place itself is gorgeous, and the fun that you have there is just amazing. So, Terrificon is definitely a show that I think everybody should go to.
Do they get some good writers and artists there quite a bit?
Absolutely. I mean, they have tons of good people. Like, I mean, I would say that's a place where you can consistently, and that actually saved me. I would say in Heroes, because Heroes, being that it's a destination con and it's so far down, you know, from where I live, because that's Charlotte. So it's like, you know, you got the packed books, and it's just like, you know, you can't bring as much with you just because you're so, you know, far back. You know what I mean? Also, you know what I mean? You have to be able to go through your luggage and everything like that through the you know, airport and everything. So there was a lot of people that were, you know, booked there that were also going to be a Terrificon. So like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about meeting these people here. I can go over here. But like consistently, you know, they have like Chris Claremont there, Neil Adams, you know, was there. They had Jim Stallings is a regular there. He's always there. Ron Lim has been there a bunch. They had Scotty Young the past 2 years. You know, Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti were there. They always have like Ron Leary always goes. They had who else? They had Donnie Cates. I want to say a couple years ago. I mean, they always have some big people. They had Jim Lee last year, and that was something crazy. They had Kevin Eastman this year. Kevin Eastman's his line. I was like, I can't. I was just like, I love Kevin, but I was just like that line was just out of control. But I mean, but like they have, you know, so many just great artists all the time, and they will go ahead and try to get someone that, you know, new to come up every time. So it's just like there's always a big name, you know, and it's just you know, I would say there's always big names there, but there's always one name that's like, oh, like I'm making his, you know, debut here. This guy is like, oh wow, like this guy's showing up. This is great. So you know, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's just really, really a fun time. And just, I think everybody, you know, if you can, should take the trip down just because it's a great time. And, you know, you won't be disappointed with the amount of creators, vendors. And then even if you're into the celebrities, they have that there too. So it's just, it's really just a great time. And then the amount of the community that goes, you'll be actually surprised. Like I said, if you've never been and people know who you are, you're gonna bump into so many people that it's kind of one of those fun things where it's like you're almost like playing like Where's Waldo? Like, oh, like who else can I meet? Like, oh, that one's over there. Oh, I gotta go find him. Oh, this one's over here. Oh, I gotta go meet her over here. Like, it's a fun time.
So I want to deviate a little bit from comics now because you're a movie watcher. You love movies, and I'm kind of curious on what kind of movies you grew up with loving. What kind of like formed you as a human being?
I mean, I liked a lot of different stuff. Like I would say, you know, I was, you know, Star Wars was a big deal to me when I was a little kid. Like I loved Star Wars. I thought it was great. You know, Back to the Future was great. I was a big fan of that. You know, so many different, all that different. I mean, I was a kid. I was born in the '80s, so it's like all the different action movies that came out. You know what I mean? I didn't see them all right away, just because, you know, some of them were, you know, R-rated, so it took me to get, you know, a little older to be able to see like Predator and stuff like that. But I mean, I saw Conan the Barbarian at a young age because I thought that Conan was great. So I used to, you know, I was exposed to a lot of different, you know, stuff like that. You know, you had the Karate Kid. You had you know, so many different movies, and then like, you know, we used to have on television there was the this one channel used to have the creature feature, and it used to be like, you know, you know, just a monster movie, or they do like you know, like Godzilla movies and stuff. There, you know, my Godzilla stuff. So they do like that, or they used to have also had the Kung Fu Theater that used to be on 6 a.m. Me and my dad used to get up real early and watch old kung fu movies and stuff. So it's like so many different like genres of everything, like just all this different stuff. And then you know, just trying to think what else like that. I mean, just all the normal movies that you would think, like the Goonies. Like when I was a little kid, you know, I remember, you know, watching the Goonies as a kid, and just, loving it ever since. So there's movies that if they come on, I just stop what I'm doing. Goonies is one of them. Goodfellas is another one. Is great movie. Just so many different genres that kind of just I grew up loving and watching. It's just like the Never Ending Story. Traumatized me as a little kid a little bit because there was some just over the top stuff with that horse. But
Mhm.
Artex and the Swamp of Sadness, that got a lot of people. But I mean, but it's still a classic movie. Pee-wee's Big Adventure was another big movie that I used to love when I was a kid. I don't ask me why. I think it's because they had the Pee-wee's Playhouse show, so I was a big Pee-wee Herman fan as a kid. Just so many different things that I grew up watching. Of course, wrestling as a kid. So I mean, I used to love watching that on Saturdays. And just I mean,
Well, you still watch wrestling to this day, don't you? You do shows
yeah,
pop
yeah,
up.
yeah. I watch it still. You know what I mean? It's just like and like anything else, it's had its ups and downs. Like I would say, being born in the time I was able to see, like WrestleMania from really, when it like I think the first one that I fully remember, I mean, really remember was WrestleMania 3. And I was like 87, so I was like 5, and then just on through. So you had that all the way carrying through to like the Monday Night Wars and everything like that, and just all the different stuff that happened there, and then ECW and everything. So it's like my youth and then teenage and early 20s was with wrestling. I went through and got to see some of the best stories and best product that you could when wrestling was such a big event where it was like outdrawing Monday Night Football and stuff like that. So it was like um and of course there's been ups and downs. So it's like there's been times where I haven't paid much attention to it, but then it's just like I kind of keep looking. And so but yeah, it's fun again. It's fun. It's back into kind of a good creative space again. So it's not perfect, but it's fun to watch. But I mean, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know specifics as far as that, like what else I can kind of give you as far as what shaped me as far as like movies and stuff. But like I would say just about the same as anybody who came up through like the 80s and 90s and stuff like that. Like I mean, just you rattle off a bunch of movie names to me, I can tell you yes or no's, and for the most part, it's just like anything that's considered like the classics that was from the 80s and stuff. I've seen I think just about all of them, and for the most part, like I find appreciation in all of them. Like you said, then big, oh, like so Commando and Predator and Rocky and people so like, what's another one that's out there like that, like Weird Science. You told me that Breakfast Club, all these different kind of things, all over the place. Like there's some movies that just they're just made well and they're just fun to watch, and it's just like like I said, like I'll stop what I'm doing when they come on. So.
Hey, well, I got one question left, but before I ask that question, I just want to say thank you for joining me for this hour, Boston Chris, and getting to know you a little bit more. You can follow him and subscribe to him down below. I'll also drop every show that he's on, Tony Sanders, Bleakers, Papas. Go check them out. Go check him out. The last question I do want to ask you, Boston, is what current or past series have you read that you recommend the audience out there, comic-wise?
I mean, I can give you a bunch. I would say there's a ton of really good runs. So I mean, what I'll preface this by saying is read what you like. Definitely just don't take what I say as being like end all be all. You have to read these. Like you can if you want. I thought they were fun books. They were great times. But I say a great series, and I know that there's been a movie, about it, which is fine. But if you've never actually read the story of Watchmen, that's a great story. Like you should definitely read the books. The books are incredible. The way that they did it. It was awesome, and all the different adaptations of it. They had the cartoon, you had the the actual live action movie, and then you've had I think even that TV series that was kind of that HBO did. There's a lot to it, but like the actual like story, like read it, it's good. I would say one that I just read recently, that I had never read before. Was the Batman Year One, which was actually pretty good. It was actually very well drawn for Frank Miller, and not Frank Miller now. Like, this is Frank Miller in the '80s. But he did a good job with that story. He did a good job writing it. He did a great job, with, drawing it, and it was a good story. Like, just that introduction to Bruce Wayne as, just kind of coming into being Batman, and then Commissioner Gordon working in Gotham, just starting it out. It's like, all right, like, what's the city all about? What's happening here? Very good story. I would definitely recommend people check those out. Another one that's kind of, I would say, another one that's kind of, I guess I would say, off the wall a little bit, but it is fun, is the Rocket Raccoon miniseries. That 1 through 4 like miniseries standalone is very fun. It's good. It's well written. Mike Mignola art on that one, so it's a great, just visually it's awesome. But how he kind of, like the story behind it, and everything that he does in it is really like it's funny, but it's well done as well. So it's just like, it's like, I would recommend, if you're looking for something that's kind of like outside the box but a fun story, Rocket Raccoon, the miniseries 1 through 4, check it out. It's actually, a really good read.
That's the one that came out in like 2019, wasn't it?
No. This is back in like the 80s. That one. Yeah, it's one of those limited series, and it's a good one. It's so if you look it up, the Rocket Raccoon miniseries 1 through 4, Mike Mignola, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a great series, it really is, and I would say, it's not really an expensive series, and that's the other thing too. Like, I wanted to give people stuff that's not ultra expensive to get to, because a lot of times, it's like, oh, you should definitely read, Fantastic, the Silver Surfer Saga and Fantastic Four, which is great, and it's a great story, and I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's definitely a great story, but to read that and to afford those books can be very tough. The good thing is that all the ones I mentioned, if you wanted to read them as actual standalone floppy issues, you can, and it won't break the bank on you. But also, all the stories I mentioned are all in trade paperback somewhere. So definitely, hit up your local bookstore or comic shop and see if you can get them in trade, and then read those stories. They're good stuff. They're definitely, actually, I'll give you one more too. One more that I think is amazing, and you have to get this in compendium though, and that would be Invincible. If you can get the Invincible compendiums 1, 2, and 3, those are great stories. And I know that it's the hot book right now, so don't try to buy those single issues. You won't be able to afford them all. But if you can find the compendiums, they're basically like phone books. So it's just like, you can do that all in time. It's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and read these all. And, just great stories, lots of fun there. I could recommend a ton of different stuff, but those ones stand out to me. There's a lot of, just really fun stories. I think those are just, some really good ones that might not be particularly on anybody's radar, especially the first three I mentioned, just because of the fact that, there's no projects or movies really coming out with them right now. There's been some projects and movies that have happened before, but those are definitely good ones. I would say, I guess the closest thing that you could actually, yeah, because Batman Begins is kind of close to, Batman Year One. So, yeah. But check those out. Those are good stories. You know what I mean? And I would say read what you like, but definitely like always go out there and expand, because there's always great stuff.
Please try it. See if you like it first, and if you don't, then that's fine. I have never even heard of that Rocket Raccoon series, so I'm definitely going to be looking that up and definitely trying to read that.
You'll like it. I think you'll like it. If you don't like, look, if anything I've recommended you to read that you don't like, blame TM Nerdy. He's the one that told me to save this question and the answers. So, not the answers, but he told me the question. No, but like definitely,
it's all my fault.
No, they're good stuff. I think you'll enjoy them if you like comics. You know what I mean? They're a good change of pace from just the big stories that a lot of people know. So check them out though if you get the chance.
Well, Boston, man, thank you so much for joining me for this hour. Like I said, guys, link to everywhere he's at including his channel and IG, is down below. Definitely go give him subscribe. Go check him out on all of his platforms. And if you guys want to be on Tony Sanders The Hunt, just hit him up, and they will make that happen. So, Boston Chris, is there anything else you want to say before we end this show?
I would say thank you for having me on. I want to thank everybody for watching. And just like I said earlier, just, collect what you like. Make sure to have fun with it. And, if you're, looking to just kind of get in with the community, it's a fun place. I'll say that it's a fun place. Everybody's welcome. So come join us. Show us, your collection, what you like, and have fun with us, because the way that everybody kind of learns and moves in this community is from each other. So if we want this thing to keep growing, if we want it to keep being around, if we want to be able to keep having fun, we need more people to have fun with. So come and join in the fun.
Exactly. We won't bite. And if you want to ask questions, just ask questions. We want more people to be involved in this comic community, whether it be reading comics, collecting comics, buying comics, selling comics. We do it all here. So that being said, guys, like, comment, subscribe. And as always, my friends, stay freaking nerdy.